So that's kind of an overview of grading. Again, I encourage you to read through this document very, very carefully. There's some good information there. And again, this was not available on Friday. So this is new learning to all friends. Just a quick overview, family procurement of materials that should be happening this first week back. Principals have been working really hard to get communication out to families to pick up their materials. We're going to go ahead and move on to creation of weekly agendas. Just a reminder that when we're doing remote learning, Michigan is recommending 1 to 2 hours per day for elementary, 2 to 3 for middle school, and 3 to 4 hours per day in high school. This amount of time does not include individual or independent reading. So if you want to go ahead and assign X amount of minutes per day of independent reading, which I know a lot of you do, please consider continuing that practice and know that that is outside of the recommended amount of time during remote learning. For my secondary friends, please make sure that you pay attention to the amount of time per class per day. The next section I want to talk to you guys a little bit about is the planning templates and the checklist. Some of this is a little bit different than maybe what you saw on Friday, and I want to walk you through that. First of all, you're going to see the templates, and this hasn't changed for the most part. Again, if you're in elementary, your weekly agendas are going to look the same. However, your delivery of content may be different, your extra practice may be different. Your sheet's going to have math, language arts, and then whatever related arts teacher is going to be working during that week. So this template hasn't changed that much. I do think I moved some things around. What we did, which I should give credit to Don Brooks for this one, is we've created a folder with all 8 weeks of the lesson plan. And the reason that we did this is multifaceted. One, if families cannot access this, these agendas will be printed once a week by the building secretaries and will be available for pickup. Second, as we go into remote learning, it's really important that we document what has been happening during this time. And then this is a great way to document the work that you will be doing with students. So all these folders look the same. I'll go ahead and click on the kindergarten one real quick. And you'll notice that every single agenda is already set up there for you each week. So you'll simply go into week 1 and you'll go ahead and you'll just fill in the necessary information. So you will see a little bit of a change from the example that I had in there. First of all, I put delivery of content, and you're going to see I've got whole group, small group, one-on-one in there. But for the most part, this hasn't changed. I did put a little link in there that one daily activity must include an assessment opportunity each week in math and ELA. Teachers need to ensure that teachers don't have all assessments due on the same day. And that's more for my secondary friends to make sure that not all courses are requiring the assessments on the same day. So that is where my K-5 friends are going to go ahead and put their lesson plans. Middle school and high school, yours pretty much look the same. Here is your sample template. Again, you'll see a whole group, small group, one-on-one. Your I can statement for your content focus is going to be there. Your course is up here. You guys in secondary will choose your own activities for each day of the week. However, you do have to have the same common assessment. All right, so make sure that those are the same amongst courses. While I'm here, I do want to share with my secondary friends, and even my elementary friends might find this helpful for delivering content. So this is ck12.org. I got to share this website. Now, I don't know about you, but I have gotten 1,000,001 emails of all these wonderful tools that are going to make my life so much easier doing remote learning, and the majority of them are junk. However, I have saved a couple, and I'm going to be sharing that out in another email, of websites that I think are worthwhile for you all to be taking a look at, and this is one of them. This is, you can find anything on this website and you can change it to a PDF. Kids can get direct links to content. I created a sample math agenda the other day and literally did it in 15 minutes while I was um, multitasking on other things. So um, I was working on Sakatoa, and you'll see that I'll come up all these different lesson plans that you can do and assignments that you can give. So this was a beautiful one-stop shop for basically any subject area. So take a look in here, play around in here. I found this to be an incredibly invaluable website to help deliver new content. So again, for my middle school and high school friends, you're going to see folders where your lesson plans will go. Now for middle school, you'll see that it has math and then the weeks. So what you'll have to do in here is you'll have to make a copy of these. So like 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade will be in here. And then if you could be so kind as to organize these into folders, I at least got you started in here. The same logic would apply to high school. Just make sure you make copies of these for the courses and then put those courses into folders by the week. So this gets you kind of started and organized as well. The next thing I want to walk you through is your checklist. And this document serves a couple of purposes. One, it just helps you walk with your own thinking as you're getting yourself organized for remote learning. So what we're asking you to do, and ultimately Dawn's still working on this sheet, there'll be a sheet per building and that will be tabbed out by teacher. But what you're going to see here is each week you're going to be asked a series of questions. It might be yes or no. It might be some student names. It might be an X in a box. But what this does is it really helps you walk you through each week what you're supposed to be doing as a remote learning teacher. So, for example, is your weekly agenda completed in the folder? Yes or no? Link your weekly schedule here, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. How will you share out your weekly agenda? Now, this is the elementary one. And the secondary one, some of these questions are in here because you guys are all sharing stuff out through Google Classroom. On Monday, what percent of your families accessed the agenda? So there's just a series of questions in here. And the expectation is not that you write a dissertation. It's just to put a couple quick notes in there to help you in your planning as a remote learning teacher. At first, this might seem a little overwhelming. However, what you're going to notice is a lot of this information you can copy and paste from week to week. Your administrators will be reviewing this document. Just kind of think of this as like your new lesson planning. Each week we all have to submit lesson plans. This is how we're going to be doing this. Your administrator will be reviewing this. In particular, this is where your admin's going to go to look to see if, hey, some of your students aren't being able to be contacted, because for those friends who are not responding, that's when your building administrator is going to provide that extra layer of support for those friends. So this is where you will go. Again, there will be templates created by a building, so I'll be looking for those later in the week. The last thing that I wanted to show you in terms of template is the schedule. And again, this is just kind of a sample. We have to kind of work this out a little bit. We've got some questions in here. Mrs. Elsner has been giving me some really good feedback on this. And so this isn't all set out quite yet, but this is just kind of an idea. And each week what we're going to be asking is teachers set out some sort of schedule. And we'll be giving you some more guidance as we come to some consensus of what that schedule will look like. I will say for myself, personally, I will be changing up my schedule a little bit, specifically because my son is home now and we're switching to remote learning. I will be not available between from about 8 to 10:30, 11 on most days, because those will be the days that I'll be working with my son. But then I will be available later on in the evening. So I will probably work till 7, 8 o'clock. Most nights it's later anyways, but I am going to be switching up my schedule to accommodate some of my family needs. and you all will have the same flexibility as well. Um, and we want to encourage you to be thinking about how to give yourselves and families flexibility during this time. Um, Remote learning could be an 80-hour a week job if we allow it to be. So it's really important that we establish boundaries. Your parents need to know when you're available and when you're not available. And it's also important that you have availability that maybe is different than typical school hours. So if you take a look at that sample, you might notice that between 5 and 6, you're available because that's when families can have access to you. So each week you can change your schedule up depending on what's going on, and you will also start to get to know the patterns of your students. And so you can respond to those as well. Here is a list of what our expectations are during remote learning. I ask that you review those very carefully. And if you have any questions, bring those to your Google Hangouts when we get together later on this week. And if after your Google Hangout you're still unsure, then please make sure you email me or your building administrator for further clarity. Um, there's communication here to parents. I encourage you to read these parent letters, by the way. It gives a nice overview of what's going on in terms of remote learning and what parents are aware of. So if you haven't done so, please make sure you review these parent letters. I think you'll find them incredibly helpful. You're also going to see some additional information regarding special education. There's more information for our secondary friends, which I believe I've gone over most of it. Some IA expectations and expectations for secretaries for you to review. Some notes around Wi-Fi and internet access. Again, we're trying to get all 612 students to have a device and internet access. This is right now a list of expectations for our administrators at this time. And then, of course, what's really important is our mental health support. So please make sure that you review this. This is a timeline. It's a little bit more focused on my K-5 friends, but please feel free to review that. And this timeline is really over this next week. So feel free to take a look at this. But again, this is more for our K-5 friends. All right, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Again, please feel free to review the stack. Make sure that you know it well when you get to your PLCs. Further communication will be going out later this week regarding all of this. And as always, if you guys have any questions, please be sure to ask. You guys have a great night, and we will be in touch soon. Bye now.